So, welcome. This is my first attempt at going live on YouTube, which I'm very excited about. I'm very used to presenting in front of people, talking about organizational development, personal development, just life development, professional development. And what I really want to focus on today is this whole thing of emotional intelligence. What is EQ? How do we use EQ in our lives? Uh, I'm glad that those of you who can see this, whether it's live or later, I'm glad that you're watching this because one of the things that I have learned over my 40 plus years of working in workplaces and just living life is that there's a certain set of skills that really are not taught anywhere. You kind of pick them up as you go, and sometimes we pick them up easier than others. So what I really want to focus on is what is that skill set, and it's emotional intelligence. Now there's so much noise out there about what is emotional intelligence, what is EQ, how do we do it, where do we go with it? How can we develop those skills? Well, let me give you a little background first. It's not really been a science for more than about 50 or so years. There's always been some indication that there is a science of emotions. But now that we understand neurobiology and neuroscience better, we have a really good idea of how profoundly emotions impact everything that we do. And that's why I think my focus over the last decade has been to really hone in on emotional intelligence as a part of our lives, as a part of our work, really as a part of everything that we do. Because it doesn't just affect us, does it? When you have emotions, it can affect people around you. I'm sure you're very well aware of that. So when we think about what is emotional intelligence at its simplest form, and I'm going to use a quote that one of the largest uh, emotional intelligence organization in the world has come up with, and that's 6 seconds, SIX seconds, just like 6 seconds. And they say it's being smarter with emotions. I like to take that just a little bit further. It's being smarter with our emotions, but it's being smarter also because of our emotions. Our emotions are our radar when we're interacting with other people, whether it's at home or at work. And the more that we can react and interact in appropriate ways, the better off we're going to be. We've all been to the place where somebody triggered our emotions and we got upset and things went sideways and we did things that we wish we hadn't done or said things we wish we hadn't said. And that's where emotional intelligence, competencies, and skills become so important. How can we better navigate the emotional landscape that we face every day? And that, again, it could be at home, it could be at work, it could be wherever you are. Emotional intelligence skills are not really taught in any formal way in school systems or in curriculum that I'm aware of. I've spent the last decade really focusing in on building an understanding of how the brain works and how our emotions impact us, our decisions, our actions, really everything that we do. And that has allowed me to work with many different people over the years. Now, I've been in consulting, I've been working with people for more than 35 years using psychometrics. So that's basically psychological assessments. And for a long time, I always knew there was something missing. What I didn't know is what was it. And that's when I found that the emotional intelligence research and work that had been done over really just the last 30 years since the 1990s or so has become so important in the work that I do. And here's why I say that. Most people in most places are smart enough, they're experienced enough to do a pretty decent job. What derails people are emotional triggers, emotional, what I call detractors. So I think of emotions in two ways. I think of them as drivers and I think of them as detractors. Are those emotions helping us, giving us energy, giving us motivation, helping us be optimistic? Or are they taking away from that? Are they draining our energy? Are they making us more pessimistic? Are they keeping us from making better decisions for better outcomes? One thing I've also found is that emotional intelligence is one of the most important skill sets if you're building soft skills. So, what are soft skills? I've got a list of about 32 different soft skills, and I'm not going to read all of that to you, but I want to share my heart about how important those soft skills are. It They are the skills of being able to communicate well with other people, no matter who they are or what their personalities are. It's the ability to think well. And there are many different types of thinking. There's consequential thinking, there's strategic thinking, there's abstract thinking, there's innovative thinking. Just that ability to think well is a soft skill. Our our standards, our professionalism, the way that we show up, our work ethic, those are soft skills as well. There's so many different soft skills that directly impact what we do and how we do it, and really what are the outcomes we get out of it. It's interesting to note that emotional intelligence competencies tend to increase with age. And I think that's where we all kind of have heard that term, the old wise person that you go and talk to. Well, there's a reason for that. Part of it's life experience, part of it is people adjusting their behavior and their thinking processes based on their experiences in life. And so their emotional intelligence skills tend to go up. Now, the beauty of all of this is you don't have to wait for that. You can actually develop emotional intelligence skills and competencies immediately. And really, to be honest about it, if you think about different skills, different resources we have, like IQ, rational intelligence, or our personalities, those things are very difficult to change. They're not something that you're going to change very much very quickly. But EQ skills, emotional intelligence skills, are skills and competencies that you can grow and change very rapidly. What are those? What are the main categories of emotional intelligence skills and competencies? Competencies are measures of where you are in that specific area. Skills are how you're applying them. So I want to make sure I define that. Um, there's really five that we look at, five major categories of emotional intelligence. And it all starts with the first one, which is self awareness. How aware am I of my emotions, the impact that they're having on me, the way I tend to behave when I have certain emotions, and how am I showing up for other people? How am I impacting them because of my emotions? And can I identify, define the emotions I'm having and the emotions other people are having? That's self awareness. The second is self regulation. Others call it self management. How important is that? Well, if you want to get better outcomes, it's a really important set of skills to develop. So, what is self regulation in broken down into competencies? How do I navigate emotions? Do I do that well? Do I use the energy and information from emotions to really provide a, a better outcome? I can be more intentional more often. And that's where another competency called apply consequential thinking comes in. What is applied consequential thinking? Think of running what if scenarios in your head and, well, if I go this way, this is the probable outcome. If I go this way, it's probably going to be this outcome. That's consequential thinking, but you're doing that before you make your decision or take your action. And that's another very important part of self regulation. Then there's the third major category of emotional intelligence, which is motivation. And that makes a lot of sense. But when I talk about motivation here, I want to focus on internal motivation, or what many call intrinsic motivation. How important is that? Well, it's critical. Motivation is the energy for you to achieve what you want to achieve. And if you think about it, external motivators, money, status, promotions, whatever it is, those external motivators are notoriously unreliable. They last for a short amount of time. Social media is a great example of an external motivator. How many likes do I get? How many people are watching my live stream? Right now, I've got 0, and that's okay because maybe you'll see this later. And I'm okay with that. Why? Because I'm practicing my emotional intelligence skills. But the reality of this is that that intrinsic or internal motivation is the energy source that we pull from when things are tough, when we're not getting external motivators, when we're struggling, when there's stress in our lives. That energy becomes absolutely critical to really being able to move forward and to get the outcomes you want, even in the face of challenges in your life. And it's also, when you think of that third major category, motivation, we also want to consider how optimistic are we? And I'm not talking about a false optimism here. I'm talking about how optimistic are we as far as looking to the future with hope and possibility. Do we sense that there is hope and possibility in the future? That is a huge driver for our internal motivation. Now, the fourth category is empathy. And I think we've all heard about empathy. Empathy is being able to understand somebody else's feelings, understand where they're coming from, their perceptions of things, but not doing it in a false or disingenuous way, doing it in a way that really helps you understand where they are right now. What are their challenges? What are they dealing with? What are they trying to fix, accomplish, or avoid? And in that process, you can really develop some very important things in a skill set, much higher levels of connection with people, build trust much more easily when you have that empathy. It's also going to allow you to, a lot of times when we get in life or in business, we tend to get in situations where there's conflict. And it's going to help you navigate conflict if you can exercise empathy in what you're doing. So instead of this in those conflicts, we can come like this and work together. And that's really important because conflict navigation, conflict management is so critical to being successful in our lives and in our work. The last major category of emotional intelligence is social skills. How important are those? Well, even with the remote work and the virtual workplace and all of that, I don't know any of us that can be totally successful without contact with other people. So, social skills are critical to how do we show up with other people. Social skills are also highly important when it comes to leadership, when it comes to, and by the way, quick definition of leadership in my mind: we learn to lead ourselves well first, then we can learn to lead other people well. We're all leaders as far as I'm concerned. That's an important distinction between what you may hear about leadership online or anywhere else. I think that's a very simple way to understand what leadership is. And leadership is not about authority, it's about influence. Well, how do you influence other people? It's you've got to have good social skills to be able to influence other people. I don't think there's any question that those are absolutely critical for leaders to be successful. Whether you're leading at your workplace or you're leading at home or you're leading at a group somewhere, leading in a church, leading wherever you're leading, those social skills are critically important. And it really becomes the place where all of the other major categories of emotional intelligence come together and get applied is in those social skills. So, what I hope to do was give you just a sense of how important is emotional intelligence. Well, from research, here's what we know: emotional intelligence is 2 to 4 times more predictive of success than IQ or rational intelligence. Now, you need both of those, but think about people who only use one or the other. They're only using their rational intelligence, or they're only using their emotions, and probably not in the best way. They're allowing their emotions to drive their decisions and their actions. Neither one of those is ideal. But when you put those together, you get a whole brain approach to making your best decisions, taking your best actions, and getting your best outcomes. So I hope that helps when it comes to a basic understanding of emotional intelligence. I'm looking forward to future live streams I'll be doing related to this topic and others, because here's my heart. My job, what I believe my mission is to equip people to prosper no matter where they are in their lives, whether they're stay at home parents, whether they are virtual workers, whether they are in a workplace, whether they're leading an organization, owning an organization. Doesn't matter where you are in life. Emotional intelligence skills are the skills that will help you have more success and more satisfaction in your life. And I want to help people with that. That's my goal. Hey, feel free to visit our website, eqfit.org. Would love to have you join us there and learn more about us. Thank you.